Hello, my name is DJ Leo J, and today I would like to talk to you all about the history of house music, a genre that has gotten as big as rock and roll and has turned DJs and producers into superstars. To this day, you can find its signature sound in the Billboard music charts, movies, television, commercials, and video games. House music was created by Black DJs, producers, Black culture, and the Black LGBTQ communities that help foster a safe environment for this music and genre to thrive. Today, we highlight the Black men and women who helped create house music. The roots of house music come from disco, a genre of dance music characterized by its repetitive vocals with catchy rhythmic beats. In the 1970s, disco was a popular subculture that developed in the urban nightlife scene. It would become the foundation of house music. The birthplace of house music can be traced to a venue in Chicago called The Warehouse, a venue that was patronized primarily by gay, Black, and Latino men, but open to all. It was at The Warehouse that a young DJ from New York would introduce the world to his style of mixing and musical selections that would be the foundation for house music. He is known as the godfather of house music, DJ Frankie Knuckles. The music Frankie Knuckles played varied, anywhere from R&B based Black dance music to the occasional rock track to even some European synth disco was in the mix. His musical selections were so special that attendees of The Warehouse would hit up local record stores to try and find the tunes he was playing. In response, one store in particular actually made a section called Warehouse Music. It got so asked about so much so frequently that they ended up shortening the term to just house music. While Chicago might be known as the birthplace of house music, New York City absolutely established themselves as early pioneers of the sound. At the epicenter of this culture was a venue named Paradise Garage. Unlike other venues, Paradise Garage encouraged dancing and put the DJ as the center of attention. It would become a destination spot for producers and DJs alike to come hear music under the guidance of the resident DJ, Larry Levan. He would experiment with live drum machines and synthesizers in his sets, creating an electronic influence on disco that would later become the foundation of house music. But while disco music was thriving in the underground club scene, it wasn't until 1977 that the genre reached its peak popularity and commercial success with the release of Saturday Night Fever. It got so popular that radio stations throughout the country started to change their format and focus on disco. Disco reached its peak when it dominated the 1979 Grammy Awards. The fear of the genre taking over caused backlash among other fans of genres of music, particularly rock fans. They felt like the sound of disco was taking over and replacing their dominance of the airwaves. So in 1979, a rock DJ in Chicago organized a disco demolition night at a Major League Baseball game featuring the Chicago White Sox and Detroit Tigers. Thousands of disco records were blown up on the field, and a riot later ensued. Radio stations began to pull the format and replace it with pop and rock. Labels started to decline on the production of disco records. But while all of this was happening in the underground scenes of New York and Chicago, the music was still thriving. Because of the popularity of disco beginning to fade, combined with record companies and labels slowing down on the production of disco music, it introduced a new style of production and DJing that created a more raw, deeper sound that was still designed for people to dance. DJs began to add hard-hitting drum machines to popular disco songs, eventually becoming more sophisticated and creative by implementing live instruments and splitting it into subgenres. These type of production techniques allowed for a more mechanical beat that DJs could manipulate and make on their own. One of those DJs and producers was DJ Ron Hardy. Established at the Music Box, formerly the Warehouse where Frankie Knuckles had left his mark, Ron Hardy had his own signature style and approach. While Frankie Knuckles was more disco-based, Ron Hardy played music that was sped up and loud with raw thumping beats. It was music that he found, produced, or was given to by other producers at the time. DJs and producers from all over the city would bring him music because they knew he would push the limits and creativity of dance music within his sets. The production, music, and style he played began to distinguish the difference between disco and the merging sound of house music. With technology advancing, it allowed people of all walks of life to have access to studio equipment. This was a crucial point in the evolution of house as it allowed producers to experiment with different sounds and production. With DJs like Ron Hardy and platforms like the Hot Mix 5 being open to playing new music, producers were able to be more experimental and help grow the sound with original production. They would use a bit of influence from disco and soul, combined with steady, propulsive beats and an emphasis on early synthesizers. This would lead to the foundation of production of house music. One of the first Underground's hits was in 1984. It was Your Love by Frankie Knuckles. It was the beginning of the evolution of house music. It was something different other than hearing manipulated disco songs. It was never released on vinyl and only on tape, but it's a crucial and foundational piece of house music history. The first house record on vinyl was released in 1984, titled On and On by Jesse Saunders. This record brought a lot of attention to house music, and it let non-musicians know that they can make and produce music. In 1985, house music would have its first hit from Steve Silk Hurley titled Music is the Key. In 1986, Farley, Jackmaster Funk, and Jesse Saunders created an international hit in the UK titled Love Can't Turn Around. Other pioneering and foundational songs include Chippy's Time to Jack, Adonis' No Way Back, and Mr. Fingers, aka Larry Heard's Can You Feel It? While those other songs are foundational in the evolution of house music, it was Marshall Jefferson's Move Your Body that would draw international acclaim and attention to house music. The repetitive vocals in the song would introduce the world to the term house music. This genre-defining production allowed it to cross overseas and become mainstream popular in the UK and Europe. Subgenres of house and other genres of dance music, like drum and bass or UK garage, would emerge from the influence of house music. Because of the massive popularity and the rise in dance and underground culture, labels started to ask house music producers to start creating remixes and edits of popular songs. House music had officially arrived as a powerful influence in the music industry. During house music's evolution and rise, it's important that I highlight the black women who helped shape house music. Names like Sharon White, Kym Mazelle, Martha Wash, Stacy Hot Wax Hale, Crystal Waters, Loletta Holloway, Cece Pennison, and others. Without these black pioneers and communities, music as you know it may not be what you hear today. So next time you hear that signature sounding 4 on the floor impulse kick drum vibe in popular music, television, commercials, or video games, remember these pioneers and the black foundation of house music. My name is DJ Leo J. Thanks for tuning in.